Hi everyone and welcome to Club 3 episode 59 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So first off, as is usually the case in the last few episodes, we talk about the skin that we're using, and today, because I'm rotating them to find one that I like, with your suggestions being welcome in the comments below for any others that we haven't looked at already. Today it's Opz Elite FM20 skin, which is quite nice. It's quite well set up. There's not as many panels as some of the other ones, but I don't mind that, to be honest. I think some of the other ones get a little bit cluttered. If we go to the tactics page, you can see they've colour-coded areas of the pitch again, which I also quite like. Substitute benches at the bottom, which I can't quite read all the names because we got a white shirt with some white lettering in front of it. That's unfortunate. But other than that, I quite like that setup. If we go into the squad page and pick a random player, let's look at Romario. You can see that he's got red attributes are his higher ones. Personally, I normally go green for the really good ones, then a sort of dull orange, then a dull red for the really bad ones, and then a really dull grey for the even worse ones that you never look at. So that's my personal preference, but I can always change that in the preferences in the editor, so that's fine. So yeah, you know, it's all good. I quite like this particular setup on this skin. So let's see how we get on with this particular episode whilst paying attention to it a little bit. So not a lot to tell you with England. That's coming up though. We are in the early parts of May. Come June, we'll be going to an international tournament with them. So watch out for those episodes that will be coming up fairly soon. Let's see if we can get some silverware with England. But Derby County... it's so tight and so scary that we could really do some amazing things in this last few weeks, or we could completely crash and burn totally. We currently sit in 5th place on 70 points, but so do Liverpool and Manchester United with 2 games to go. And anything can happen with these 2 games, and we could absolutely crash and burn and fall out of that top 5 even, with Arsenal on our tails. Or we could win them both and somebody could mess up above us and we could find ourselves in that top 4. Either way, it's been an amazing season, but we just need that cherry on top of the cake with the league position and trying to get into the Champions League. Now, the other thing to talk about is what we're here for today, and that is a game against Norwich in the Europa League. Sorry, the UEFA Europa League. That's a tongue twister. If we go in to have a look at our fixture list, you can see that our recent form hasn't been brilliant. We drew against Leeds. We drew against Norwich in the first leg of the semi-final, 0-0, and that was away from home. So not a bad result, actually, in European competition away to get a 0-0 draw. And then we drew 2-2 against United. And in that game, we were 2-0 down and came back to get them in the second half back to 2-2. So it was an incredibly good late comeback, but a slightly disappointing run of form. We had a win against Southampton as well in the Premier League after you and I were together last for the Real Betis match. All of that means, as I say, that we sit in 5th in the league. We are in the second leg of the Europa League Semi Final, and we've got a 0-0 draw from the first, which is great. Good platform to work from at home. It's going to be a... I'm so scared of getting this wrong and not getting through to the final. It's likely, I think it's Leipzig versus Chelsea, I think was the other one. So it's going to be a tough final, whoever we get. But we're doing okay. And Chelsea look to be pretty much nailed on now to win the Premier League as well. So they're having a decent season. They're going to be difficult if we get them in the final, but not insurmountable. We'll have to wait and see. We have to get there first. And that's what today is all about. So there's not an awful lot more to tell you about. You can see in terms of our player fitness, we haven't got any major injuries. Aldrin's got a little bit of a knock and is down in his match sharpness because we haven't been using him so much as everybody else. But you can see that most others have had recent game time to be as good as they are in their match sharpness. And so we're pretty much able to pick whatever first 11 I want to. We are going to play in our controlled possession and try and run the game at home. I thought about the gegenpress, but I want to keep that in my back pocket a little bit just in case we need it later in the game. And so our new look first 11, because there's been a couple of changes in the last few episodes. Ivan comes into it and so does Batista at the back. Harwood Bellis has dropped out and onto the bench. I just think Batista, at the age of 21, I think he is, 21, has got an awful lot about him, including a decent opportunity to pass out from the back. So I really like him as a central defender. I think he's going to develop really nicely for us. So he partners Romario. So our team for today, our first 11 is, excuse me, the nerves are getting to my chest already. We've got ILM in goal, we've got Bogle at right back, Pellegrini at left back, we've got Romario and Batista in central defence, with Ivan, Olashenko and Martinez in central midfield, with Alart on the right, Guive on the left and Pauletta up top, with a bench of Harwood, Bellis, Matheson, Joku, Barnils, Elliott, Farrow and Monterese. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we went with a simple, let's give these fans something to cheer about. Didn't get too much of a response, but that's okay. Norwich have come in with quite a defensive formation. They've gone in a 4-4-2, I think it is, but quite a low line in central midfield. And so that's going to be an interesting one for us to get loads of possession in front of them. And let's see if we can make them pay with some good possession. And we almost did early on. Great chance on the edge of the area, but the shot goes slightly wide and a little bit wayward, and Norwich get a chance of their own down this right hand side. We've got to be disciplined today and make sure that we do the job properly, right the way from defending properly all the way into moving the ball up to get our chances and then putting them away. But it's Norwich taking their time with their possession. They've gone quite defensive, as I say, so they're going to be quite possession heavy, you would imagine, in terms of trying to get it up the pitch themselves. And they manage it right the way to the byline. And then he makes a bad choice going at the goal from that sort of angle rather than cutting it back to a teammate. And we were a little bit lucky there. But let's see if we can make them pay. A lot down the right-hand side. Back into Ivan. Spreads it out to Guive. Into the box. And he has a pot shot straight down the sights of the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper pushes it over the top for a corner kick. A good chance for us on the corner kick with Martinez on the ball. And he'll put it to the far post. And we get a player underneath it. But they get it partially cleared. A lot back to Martinez. Good back heel there. And then we settle the game down and try and keep the ball rather than pushing it into an area that was a bit crowded. So reasonably happy with that sort of possession style. It's what we try and do. But occasionally when you're in that penalty area, get those shots away. Pepper that goal and see if we can get a bit lucky with one of those shots. And again, we're building up from the back. A good chance for our guys to show that we're good on the ball and we can take our time and pick the right passes. Olashenko right in that central midfield role, right in the heart of our team. Out wide left to Pellegrini onto Guive. Is he going to cut inside? He does, and it gets the pass completely wrong. And Norwich intercept it. A few nerves out there in such a big game. A big European night on a second leg of a semi-final at the Derby County Stadium is always going to have a few nerves. But Pauletta steps in, gets a chance, and doesn't quite take it, does he? Unfortunately. Gets a good opportunity in that penalty box, but just a bit of a tame effort. And we're getting up to 30 minutes here, and we haven't quite managed to really demonstrate that we've got our shooting boots on properly. But you can see that we're having a reasonable amount of the game, which is really positive. We've just got to make those chances pay and not make silly errors right on the edge of the box. I think it's a free kick, but please don't send him off. He didn't. He gave him a yellow card. But a really close in free kick. And they hit the woodwork. I can't cope. 46 minutes gone. Half time arrives. Can't come quick enough, really. 0-0. Really nervy. Some good attempts, but nothing really to write home about. Possession was decent. It's got to get better, though, hasn't it? So what do we do with the team talk at half time? Our assistant manager, Christian Fuchs, wants us to tell them that they're disappointing. I think I want to do that. I think we need to do that and fire them up. Who wasn't fired up by that? It was Alart who didn't quite get that message and appreciate it. That's a bit disappointing. But there we go. We'll end the team talk there because everybody else is fired up. Can't really ask for much more. And we'll give it 10 minutes into the second half. And if something doesn't quite improve or click for us, we will have to think about going for that gegenpress and trying to impact the game in a slightly better way. And here's a chance for Norwich down the right-hand side for them. If we don't win this and get it back on ourselves for a decent chance ourselves, then we are going to the Gegenpress. So it's one last chance to see if this setup will work. And we are playing about with it at the back. I mean, we're coping just about, but for goodness sake, stop it. Just stop it. Thank you very much, ILM, for eventually getting it cleared. And Martinez drops it back to Ivan, and we build up in central midfield. Space out on the wide right with Olart. Gets a chance to open his legs up and run, but doesn't really take it. Withdraws a little bit and puts it back into central midfield. Guive, and it's on to Paoletta, and the goalkeeper makes an absolute hash of it. And it was his for the taking. Paoletta was nowhere to be seen and ran through hoping that something would go his way. And it did, because the goalkeeper absolutely messes up. Pellegrini back to Ivan, out wide to Guive. Olashenko with a first-time ball. What was the goalkeeper doing? If that was ours in a cup semi-final, we'd be going mental at him at this point. But it's not. It's in our favour, and we go 1-up with about half an hour to play. And it's finally looking like we could get something from this game. It was so quiet before that. So let's see if we can improve things as we move forward. We've got a couple of yellow cards. Olart, we are going to take out of the game and put Elliott down that right-hand side. Same with Martinez in the centre with Barnils, and Farrow on that left-hand side with Guive. That seems to be the area of the pitch that we weren't creating quite enough for Paoletta to properly get on the end of, other than when the goalkeeper made an absolute hash of it. I will happily take it, though, at this point. We are in the 80th minute, 84th minute now, and time is ticking. And Norwich are not having a chance, which is fantastic, to close the game out. Oh, we've got one opportunity, and they've won the ball back. Oh, no. Down the left-hand side. Brilliant. Elliott chasing back, eventually puts the ball back over to Farrow. And what sort of a shot is that? That's so tame. But at least we pushed them back down to their goalkeeper. But he's taken a long goal kick. And there is the final whistle. And Derby County, we are in the Europa League final. And we'll have to go and check out who our opponent is. But that's absolutely amazingly brilliant. I can't believe that we eventually found that one goal through a real problem by their goalkeeper. But eventually it came good for us. So in the team talk, passionately, we're in the final. Congratulations, you'll completely deserve it. I'm delighted for you all. And that's all you can ask for the players, really, is that they show up in these big moments. And today, by the skin of our teeth, we showed up just enough to get through. And it's Chelsea, Premier League leading Chelsea in the final. I was hoping it was going to be Leipzig so much, but it's not. We get Chelsea in the final. It's going to be such a difficult game, isn't it? But we're going to give it as good a go as we can. So we triumph in the second leg. We booked the place in the final. We've been awarded some money, which is always great when you go on a cup run like this. Derby County to play Chelsea in the final. Oh boy. So if we come back out and just check out the next couple of games that we've got. So we've got 2 more games in the Premier League, and it's so tight. So let's go and check out who we've got as our remaining fixtures. We've got Leicester and West Ham. And what I'm going to try and do tomorrow, if I can get the opportunity to record it, because my wife is working from home, it's a little tricky at the moment. But if I can, I will do the double header of Leicester and West Ham tomorrow in that episode. And then Chelsea would be in the next episode on Thursday for that Europa League final. And then we'll move into the World Cup with England. So that will be something special as well. So some interesting stuff coming up over the next few episodes. But that'll do it for today. Thanks for joining me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and come and join my United City community. Click that like button on this episode. We made it to the final of the Europa League. If that's not worth a like, I don't know what is. So click that like button for me. Also, go and check out the skin and see what you think of it. There's got lots of backgrounds. I've chosen this one because I think it's easier to read. But there's lots of backgrounds to choose from. It's quite a nice skin. Go and check it out. Opz Elite. And the last thing to say is that I mentioned yesterday that my merchandise store is up and running at Teespring. There's a link to that in the description below. Go and check it out for me. Tell me what you think. I'm just asked for opinions. Let me know what you think. And if you want to go and grab something yourself, fantastic. But there's no pressure to do so. I just felt like doing it. It hasn't cost me anything to set it up. So whatever happens with it, happens with it. But it's there to go and have a look at. Description, go and look for that link and let me know what you think. So anyway, that'll do it for today. Thanks very much for joining me. Till next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon as a big helicopter goes over the top and ruins my sound possibly. I don't know what you can hear of it. Anyway, bye for now.